Yes, I've been talking to you about the angels, and the Bible clearly shows their glorious ministry to the church. And I believe that angels are still in their ministry towards the church in these modern days. There was a time when my son got convicted and was wanting to give his life to Christ. He hadn't settled on actually surrendering to that yet, but he was convicted that the gold chains that he wore around his neck, which had a dumbbell and a boxing glove within them, belonged there anymore. He said no, it didn't feel right and he didn't want to wear them anymore, but he had nowhere to keep them safe, so he asked me if I would put them in my purse as a safe place until he decided what he's going to do with the gold, which I thought was a very good idea as well. My husband and I decided that we would go to Earl's Court to meet with Maurice Cerullo, for we felt that we needed to have a prophet minister in our life at this time. So off we went, but as it was, Maurice Cerullo wasn't preaching at the time, but there in his stead was Dr. Mike Murdoch, who was preaching about finances, which he's very, very anointed to do. At the end of his session, he took up an offering, and he said to me and to the congregation that there are people in this congregation that were willing to just take their purse to the altar and just empty it out there on the altar, to put it at the apostles' feet, which is Maurice Cerullo, which I was very glad to do. My husband was self-employed at the time, and work wasn't going too well, so I knew that all I had in my purse was 2 2-pence pieces, so to me that was fine. I could cope with that. And so I rushed down to the altar and I opened my purse to find that there was not only just 2 2-pence pieces that fell out of my purse, but my son's gold as well. As I left the altar, in my heart I was thinking, oh, I've made the big mistake. My son trusted me with his gold. He said it was a safe place to put it in my purse, and I have just thrown it at the apostles' feet. And now what am I going to say to my son? Anyway, we got into the car and we made our way back home. As we was in the car driving down the motorway, my son called. He was on a mini break in Hastings with his fiancée at the time, and he was hungry. They went into a restaurant and they sat at a table for 4 people, even though there was only 2 of them, but it was the only table left because, as you can imagine, bank holiday was a very busy time. They sat and they ordered their food, and then the waitress approached them and asked them if 2 people could come and sit on their table with them, for they had nowhere else to put them. My son agreed to that, and 2 Jewish men came and sat next to my son and his fiancée. They all ordered their food and was eating, and they started to strike up a conversation. Apparently the Jews were goldsmiths, and they were Messianic Jews, not just Jews. And my son said that he was thinking of giving his life to Christ, and that yes, he was seriously wanting to become a Christian. And the Jews asked my son what he did for a living, and my son said he was a hod carrier. And my son then asked them what their line of work was, and they were goldsmiths. So they finished their meal and they carried on with their conversation. And the Jews, they put out a roll of velvet with all gold within it. And my son said, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm not in a position at the moment with my work and financially. And we're on this mini break as well, that we've got any money that we can buy anything from you. But the Jewish young man said to my son, no, the Lord has put it on my heart that there is this gold here for you to choose from, anything that you like to take with you. My son said, there's a catch in this, and they said, there's no catch. There is gold here for you. You only have to choose. So my son chose a gold cross, and a very nice one it is too. And before the Jewish man could change his mind, my son promptly asked his fiancée if it was time to go, and she said it definitely was. And they vacated the restaurant. As you can imagine, it was upstairs in a building. There was a bar underneath and just a restaurant upstairs. There's no toilets upstairs. There's no fire exits. There's nowhere else for you to go but in the restaurant, up and down the stairs. And my son at the bottom of the stairs realised that he had left his phone on the table, his mobile phone. And so he said to his fiancée, just hang on down here for a minute. I'll just go up and retrieve my phone. Well, he went back upstairs to retrieve his phone, which was on the table, but the table was bare and there was nobody sitting at the table. Those men did not follow them down the stairs. There was nowhere else for them to go. And I am convinced, 100% convinced, that those angels were working for Maurice Cirillo's ministry and the church.